Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Meha Bhardwaj Alter. It was an absolute domination by Australia against India in the World Test Championship final on day one. That's right. Everything that could go wrong with India went wrong. Right from them winning the toss, making the decision to bowl first, to excluding Ravichandran Ashwin out of the team. There were so many talking points from yesterday. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about how India can recover from here on. India put the Aussies in to bat first, like I said, under overcast skies, but the move backfired them after the first hour. Indian bowlers did get 3 wickets, but a brilliant counter-attacking 146 not out of 156 balls from Travis Head and a 95 not out from Steve Smith showed India had erred by choosing to field first. That's not all. The biggest talking point was the exclusion of Ravichandran Ashwin. The number 1 test bowler and the number 2 test all-rounder in the world was excluded from the playing 11. Australia finished the day on 327 for 3 with India's pace attack struggling as the conditions became easier for batting. So, can India come back from here? That's the question that we'd like to put to our experts. Jamie Alter joins us, journalist, writer, actor, YouTuber, bathroom singer. Also joining me is Chetan Narula. He's a journalist, a writer too, and someone who really strongly believes in reporting from the field. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking the time out to talk to us. Let me begin with Jamie. Australia 327 for 3 at stumps. Jamie, it was a perfect day for Australia. Everything went right for them.
Yeah, look, I mean, I know that Pat Cummins yesterday said at the toss that he also would have opted to field. But then you hear what Justin Langer had to say, that when he had a word with him, and it was quite another thing. And he went on record saying that, Pat Cummins probably won't admit it, but, somewhere in the heart of hearts, he also would have wanted to bat. I mean, look, we've talked about this for the last 24 hours. Chetan and I have been on the same show. We've all been talking about this. I would say that at least the toss is still debatable because many will say that, look, under those conditions, Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark, and Scott Boland could have had India at 40 for 4. But I still feel that we've all been to England, we've covered matches there. You just cannot accurately predict the weather. I maintain what I said yesterday, even before the toss, when I was on this show. They have picked an 11 and they've taken the decision at the toss based on an hour, maximum 2 hours of overhead skies. They have not looked forward. They seem to have collectively forgotten, Meha and Chetan, that this is a 5-day match and that you have to look at the fact that it's the Oval. The sun will beat out. By the time the lunch break came, the sun was beating down. People were applying sunscreen. Why in the world would you drop Ashwin? And again, like we discussed yesterday, if your fourth option is Umesh Yadav, and you've left out the number 1 test bowler with 474 wickets, you clearly blundered. All this was like handing the match on a platter. And yes, Australia, or as I messaged you at 3:08 yesterday, Meha, in the second over of the day, I said 450 loading, and we're looking at maybe 500.
Yeah, okay. So now 2 decisions that everybody has been talking about. I've got your opinion on that, Jamie. I know Ricky Ponting said this, that this is a big mistake for India first to deciding to bowl and then to leave Ravichandran Ashwin out. They said that they've gone by the first hour, not the next 5 days. They've chosen the team for the first hour of this test match and not the whole 5 days. Also, you saw how disappointed Sunny Gavaskar was yesterday. And he also said that this is a big mistake. But what does Chetan say? Chetan, are you of the opinion that, India should have batted? Because let me play the devil's advocate here. I mean, India, imagine in those overcast conditions, would have batted first. And what if they were 50 for 5? Would that have been better? Because imagine with Indian bowlers troubling the way they were troubling Aussies, imagine Pat Cummins coming at you, Mitchell Stark coming at you, Scott Boland coming at you. There is absolutely no respite for the Indian batters.
Well, Meha, hindsight is 6 by 6, as always. Everybody thinks they're smarter when things have happened, really. So it's very tough to say that India should have batted or not, because when you look at, playing in England, it's always you look up and then you look down, and then you decide what you want to do. And the conditions yesterday were precisely how they should be when, you win the toss and you decide to bowl first. And when you pick 4 pacers, you have to bowl first. You have to. There's just no logic when you pick 4 pacers and you drop Ravichandran Ashwin and you decide to bat. It just beats logic. So they had to bowl first. But again, I think the decision to bowl first wasn't as much of a factor, but the fact that they read the conditions wrong. And, in these conditions, when the pitch eases out for batting, when they look at the pitch and see that the pitch is brown underneath the green grass cover, and that spin will actually come and play a role as the match progresses. So have you picked an 11, like Jamie said? Have you picked an 11 for just the first innings or the first session of play? Or have you picked an 11 which will help you throughout the 5 days of the match as conditions change as you? So I think the greater mistake was that. Ricky Ponting also said, I was listening to him on commentary, and he said that India will miss Ashwin on days 3 and 4. And I told Jamie that, India will actually miss Ashwin in the 3rd session of day 1 itself, which actually came true. So, look, they have made 2 mistakes, but we have to look forward how they can recover in the match. We have enough quality in the side to go ahead, and a quick couple of wickets on the 1st session of day 2 might just help that cause. But we're looking at somebody who's probably the greatest test batsman of this era, Steve Smith. And the way he batted, no hurry, playing as many deliveries as possible, he showed. And you asked if India being 50 for 5 would have been better. That shows our confidence in our batsmen. And then there is Steve Smith, the way he batted. So
absolutely. Okay. We'll continue the conversation. We'll talk about Travis Head, Steve Smith's batting as well. But let's just stick with this for a while, because I want to really understand what went wrong here with the Indian team. And why I'm saying this, Jamie, is that the last World Test Championship final, India did exactly the opposite thing, and that backfired on them, right? I remember you and I having this conversation that why have they gone with 2 spinners? Jadeja was hardly used. Yes, Ashwin did get some wickets, overcast conditions. They went in with an all-seam attack, New Zealand, and they beat us fair and square. So, this is exactly what India did. Maybe they need to hire a weather expert in England to figure out whether it's going to get sunny through the second half of the day. Because what we saw yesterday was just that first 1 hour. And then, nice, warm day, sunshine, Indian bowlers sweating it out. At one point, Shardul needed a physio. Umesh was off the field. So in that sense, it just didn't go right for India as well.
Let me just start my answer by picking up where you just ended off, right? We've said this on other shows as well. Are you fully confident in these 4 pace bowlers able to bowl you long spells? And I was on a show with Chetan as well, and we both said we just don't think so. What? Because these are 3 of the 4 are injury prone. The amount of time we've all gone, oh my goodness, so-and-so is hopping off, right? This man here on our screen, he's hobbled off on his test debut. So when you have Mohammad Shami, who is the outright leader and deserving leader of this attack, but sometimes he tries so hard that he often, gets in that zone where he's not fully fit. You have that option. We've not seen it yet, but Shardul and Umesh, like I said before in the preview show, to my mind, in these conditions, they're 19-20 ka fark hai, as we say in Hindi, right? Both went for around 4. In fact, Shardul more than 4 for over. At least he started better. So it's when you have picked just the wrong bowling attack, then there's no point. You're looking at the toss and the conditions. Of course, the natural knee-jerk reaction for all of us is to compare this because it is a WTC final in the same country. But those were very, very different conditions. It had been raining for 3-4 days in the build-up to Southampton. It was a wet 5 days, 6 days there. India grossly blundered. Here, again, the toss, I'll still say it's a debatable toss. But picking Umesh Yadav when he's not an overseas specialist, he's had 2 good test matches away from home. Had this been India, I would have said play him over Shardul Thakur. But you've left out the number 1 bowler who's got such a psychological hold over Australia. Just absolutely very, very surprising.
Absolutely. Now, this is the question that we're asking you as well, our viewers who are watching. Did India make a big mistake there by not getting Ravichandran Ashwin into the playing 11 yesterday, and also deciding to bowl first? How big a decision was that? And do you think that India should have batted first? Do let us know in the comment section below. We've got a comment from Pramod Bochiwal. Thank you so much, Pramod. He says, even if they wanted to play fourth pacer, wouldn't it be prudent to play Ash in place of Jaddu, as Ash is no less in the batting department also? Let's put that question to Chetan. Chetan?
Well, there are two ways to look at it, Meha. First of all, Ashwin has never scored a half century in England. I mean, obviously, he's just played in 2014 and 2018. But you look at Jadeja's statistics, he scored a half century in 14, in 18, then in 21, and then in 22, he scored 100 over there. So he has better batting statistics. But do you really pick a spinner in England because he's scoring runs? No, you pick a spinner because he takes wickets, and you pick a spinner because he provides a threat in a long spell. He keeps an end tight.
Yeah.
And that is what Ashwin does. So the thing here is, and the comment is absolutely on the mark. How is it that Ravindra Jadeja is not droppable in England? I just don't understand this. Even if you have to play four paces and you have to pick just the one spinner, why does it have to be Ravindra Jadeja? If Ravichandran Ashwin can be dropped, somebody who's close to 500 test wickets, and it's not like those 500 test wickets have all come at home. So how is it that Ashwin is droppable for 6 consecutive tests and Jadeja is not droppable for those same 6 consecutive tests? It's something that's just so bizarre. And it's taken 2 coaches and 2 captains to make the same kind of decisions. And, history might be repeating itself that we might not win the WTC again.
Absolutely. And what this also made us realize, Jamie, was the difference between Jasprit Bumrah and the others. And the difference that he makes. I mean, we already knew it. But look at this. The fact that your bowlers, as much as they troubled the Aussie batsmen, the Aussie openers in the first hour, but they really missed a trick there by not bowling fuller, something that they should have done. And then when Travis Head was batting like the way he was, they weren't bowling short to him. Just talking about the bowling plans, I mean, that's something that you plan for, right? That's the first thing. We said that yesterday. As soon as we got to know that India decided to field first, we said, just keep pitching it up, try to get these batters to drive and get quick wickets. But somehow, both Shami and Siraj missed that. And then the other thing, being with Umesh Yadav coming in and sort of releasing the pressure that was created by Siraj and Shami as well, where David Warner just slammed, I think, Umesh Yadav for 3 to 4 boundaries in an over. So I think the start itself showed the conditions were perfect for India. They could have got more wickets if they bowled better.
Precisely. We said this at the preview show yesterday after the toss. In these conditions, if India do not have Australia 4 down in the first session, this is going to be a colossal failure. These were the words I used. And what happened? Look, the pitch had a lot in it. Even at the end of the session, in the final session, when Travis Head was on 99, he was being made to hop and sway, right? My question is, where was that bowling when he walked in, right? This is Travis Head 2.0, who has revamped himself, and he, along with Rishabh Pant, has been doing baseball like things before the term baseball came around, right? Now, going back to the first session, yes, a lot of balls sat up, there were oohs and ahs, but when you realize that the pitch is not playing the way that you expected it to be, you're pitching it full, it's not working, where was your second plan? The fact that Umesh Yadav came in and David Warner, who, let's face it, couldn't buy a run for the last 8-9 months, keeps hitting you for 3-4s. There was a deep point in place when Umesh Yadav came on. I mean, are we talking about India under MS Dhoni back in 2011-12? This is a far superior, far advanced Indian team. The bowling, I know Bumrah is not there, irreplaceable, but these are bowlers who have done the job, Meha, overseas. Why have they collectively just lost their marbles? When the time to bounce came, it was far too late. One last thing before I stop. Sunil Gavaskar said yesterday that of the 4 pacers, 2 of them were coming off the longest IPL, the most deliveries they'd ever bowled. And the other 2, Shardul and Umesh, had hardly bowled this IPL. It was almost a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Which is what Ricky Ponting also said, something that was very interesting to note, and Chetan can take that forward, is, we discussed this before in our preview shows about what is better, underdone or overcooked. Now, in this case, Umesh Yadav coming back from an injury, hamstring was injured, didn't play the second half of the IPL, and wasn't really in great form. I mean, I remember him bowling much better in the season before this, in the IPL as well. So here was Umesh Yadav, then you have Shardul Thakur, and then you have Mohammad Siraj and Mohammad Shami, who played all the matches. And why I'm saying this about Ricky Ponting is that he said, just look at their front foot and how it's bending. And that shows that they are tired, that they are exhausted. So how much of that played a role in India's bowling plans going awry?
Of course, it does play a role, Meha, because we've seen in the past as well, whenever India plays the IPL and plays a particularly important event, whether it's the T20 World Cups in 2009 and 2010, or the India Tour of England in 2011, where we lost 4-0, it obviously has an impact, not just with the bowler, but also in the batsman's mind, team management, workload. It's always been a question mark for India, because obviously the IPL takes precedence over everything else. I mean, they did not even play a practice game in England before this match, and probably would have known the conditions better, probably would have understood what team, first team 11 to play, really. But having said that, the selection of Umesh Yadav is also something that really is a big question mark. Look, Umesh Yadav is sensational when he's bowling with an SG ball. It's not the same when he's bowling with a Kookaburra or a Duke's ball. His line and length errs. He cannot control the ball. He cannot control the movement. We've seen this in the past. We've seen it every time with him, that he does not control the red ball as well as he controls the white Kookaburra ball even. So, the Indian team management probably rates its players higher than the average public. I don't know. I just don't get this, the way they play Jadeja over Ashwin, and they pick Umesh Yadav with the Duke's ball when in the past he's not had control over it. And they have to understand eventually that in such conditions, Jadeja, Shardul and Umesh are competing for one or two spots. The rest, two pacers and Ashwin, have to play. So maybe going ahead, it will be a better case of picking the right 11, but this time they've really mixed it up, and I'm not sure if there's a way to come back in this test match, unless India also scores 500 runs in the first innings, which is going to be a different story altogether.
Well, for that, they have to get the Aussies out first. And the way they're going,
Absolutely.
I don't know whether that is going to be possible anytime soon. But the good thing is that they've got the new ball, and conditions are going to be good in the first session. Yeah. Let's also talk about, Jamie, how when you may not start in the way that you wanted to, and India did make use of the advantage of conditions. They did use the conditions. They did get 3 wickets. Australia was 76 for 3. And then in came Steve Smith and Travis Head. And I want you to talk about Travis Head, because what I see now with this Australian team and what they've done in this World Test Championship cycle is that they scare the opposition away by the kind of depth they have with their batting and their bowling. And that's why somewhere Travis Head just sort of goes under the radar, and then you see this kind of an innings from him. And he's been doing it. It's not like he's not been doing it. I said this yesterday as well. He's got the highest strike rate in this World Test Championship cycle with batters with a minimum of 500 runs. He's playing baseball before baseball was coined. Already you can go on Cricinfo and you can see this Trav ball that they've been writing about. But the manner in which he went about scoring his runs is what, really stood out for me. To think that this was going to be his first Test 100 away from home in a big World Test Championship final. Indians really didn't know what to do. They wanted to get David Warner out, they got him out. They wanted to get Khwaja out, they got him out. They wanted to get Marnus Labuschagne out, who's again, if he gets going, is unstoppable. They got him out. They weren't just prepared for what Travis Head was going to do. And there you see, the third session, Australia ended up scoring 157 runs. I mean, how do you come back from that? It was crazy.
Meha, I am willing to wager that the three of us on this show, as well as a certain Ravi Chandan Ashwin, probably watched a lot of Travis Head batting against England, against New Zealand, against the West Indies, more so than the certain think tank of the Indian team. It seems to me that they were sort of thinking, oh, Travis Head, he really struggled for the majority of that BGT tour, right? This is a batsman who has worked his rear end off in becoming that Adam Gilchrist like counter attacking batsman, right?
Yeah.
Travis Head 2.0 has taken on bowlers. He's got hundreds at a strike rate of 100, at a strike rate of 90. He's been doing this since he was recalled in a very, very different role, right? Yes, he's not played in England, but more than Usman Khwaja, more than David Warner, even more than Labuschagne to a certain extent, I was fully expecting a Travis Head 100 because all it requires is a good start. Travis
Yeah.
Head is not going to play the way Travis Head plays at 30 for 3, but you give him a good start, and this is not surprising that he's teamed up with a rather sedate, and when I use the word sedate, I mean we should be very, very worried that Steve Smith has been so sedate. I have no doubt
Yeah.
that Travis Head is on course for 200 of the way he's batting. Because look, let's say that he's going to get himself out, right? So I just don't feel that the Indian team, this massive think tank, were able to figure out. Because had they known what to do, they would have played Ashwin first of all, and they would have gone and attacked Travis Head from the start. Now, certain articles by certain experts will have you believe that his false percentage sauce was very high. I don't have such much time for such analysis. I'm just watching the game as I see it. He got
Yeah.
too many hit me balls. He was beaten. There were some edges. He was made to hop. He fell down. But this is Travis Head, who's been dominating bowling attacks outside of India for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I personally am not surprised that he's batting on 146, whatever it was right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look at that strike rate. I mean, this is Travis Head, people like Travis Head, people like Rishabh Pant, players like them, they disrupt the opposition plans, right? I mean, you don't know what to do, and that's why. I think the other reason was that, the rate at which they scored the runs, and I'm going to get Chetan in on this, that made a huge difference. And, at that rate, when you're scoring runs, on the first day, you finish with 327, the opposition, I don't know whether they would have slept peacefully. They would have been anything but peaceful last night. India would have really wondered what they would do today, and they'd look to take those quick wickets. I just want to ask you, how disappointed were you by India's body language in the second and the third session?
India looked India looked beaten after the post-lunch session. I mean, already on day one, their shoulders were drooping, and the fact that they gave away nearly 150 runs in the third session is testament to that, Neha, because everybody knows in Test cricket that the batsmen are going to bed in. Especially look at the way Steve Smith batted. He was bedding in for the long haul. Travis Head, yes, he was scoring runs, but they knew, the Australian batsmen knew, the first two sessions are the tough ones. The sun comes out in England, and the third session is where you make the big runs. And India have played enough Test cricket in England to know this as well. You look at Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Rahul Dravid, Mohammad Shami. They've played enough Test cricket in England to know this, that the third session in England is where the runs actually come in. And when your shoulders droop and you let the opposition score nearly 150 runs in that third session, you're basically waving the white flag. And that's what India did. And, I was wondering that this is the second ranked side in the WTC table.
Yeah.
Does it really deserve to be there in the final, the way they are playing on day one of the WTC final? All in all, it was a very, very depressing day. Knowing the Indian team, they will probably just say, okay, we've had a bad day. Let's just shrug it off. Let's just assume that the test match is starting from day two. And if they don't think that, then the match is already gone. There's only a 1%. According to me, there's just a 1% chance. Like I said,
Come
if they
on.
score 500. No. If they have to, they
Yeah,
have to score 500 in the
I
first
know.
inning. They have to score 500 in the first inning.
Yeah.
If they don't, the
Yeah.
match is as good as gone. I mean, they need to get Australia. I'm not saying it can't be done, but they first need to restrict Australia to 400, 450,
Yeah.
which is easier said than done, and then score, 450, 500 themselves, which is far tougher than said, really. So maybe I'm being a bit pessimistic, but I don't see more than 1% chance for India to come back in this match.
No, absolutely, you're right. And that's the kind of impact that Australia had yesterday and the way they controlled this match, that on day one, you're talking about it's difficult for India to come back, but that's how good Australia was. Let's also then talk about whether Rohit Sharma could have done anything different, Jamie, in terms of, field placement, in terms of bowling changes. I know it's difficult when you've already made the error of leaving the best bowler out. What do you do with the bowlers who are not hitting the right lengths? Who are, I mean, what Umesh Yadav was doing, he was scattering the ball around. This is not what you expect from somebody who's been given an opportunity in the World Test Championship final, frankly, for me. Bowling too short, too wide, those were balls that were ready to be hit, and David Warner took full advantage of that. So I'm wondering if Rohit Sharma could have done anything different in the field.
See, look, let's accept the fact that that first hour, India did not do very much wrong. I mean, they got Usman Khwaja, David Warner. He got that 45, but that was a struggle. He was made to hop and swing. I mean, the first half an hour, Shami especially was getting the ball to do things, and Siraj got the ball to jag back. But it was the first hour, Meha, and then probably the last hour, maybe last hour and a half, when that short ball barrage finally started. In between that, there was just too many overs of, I'm not going to say hit me bowling, but just not enough aggressive bowling. Right now, Shardul Thakur is not going to run in, and he's not going to bounce you and and do much. But he is a wicket taker, because that's why of his 8 Test matches, 7 have come overseas before this match. 27 wickets, average 24. So he's done things. But I think towards that second half, that one over, he bowled 2 no balls. It went for 16 runs. Shardul Thakur's biggest disappointment for me was he was not able to bowl those long spells. The last 3 overs of each of his spells, he started to lose his rhythm. Yeah. Now, when a bowler is doing that, what is Rohit Sharma actually going to do? In regards to Umesh Yadav, he's been a fantastic character study, because under MS Dhoni, a lot of us used to refer to him as Jungli Yadav, right? Because he was spraying the ball. Somehow, with Bharat Arun, with Ravi Shastri, with Virat Kohli, they were able to get Umesh Yadav back on track, to the extent that he became a massive factor in home conditions. But like Chetan said, that was with the SG ball. Now, again, I've been critical of Virat Kohli, the captain, at times. I'm just wondering, maybe someone who was a bit more in the game, maybe a bit OTT, a bit more aggressive, maybe he could have done something with this attack. I think Rohit Sharma is, I don't want to say laid back, because he's successful, but that
he's
extra
reactive.
energy.
He's reactive.
He's no, but also you just want a bit of that madness, a bit of that OTT on such days when things are not going your way, and bowling Jadeja, I mean, so late. I would have had him come on, immediately after lunch, because it was dry, it was baked, the surface.
Which was the other thing. 2 things that I didn't understand, and which I think Paras Bhamre also spoke about. I think Chetan has to go. Chetan, are you still there with us?
Yeah, I can take a last comment. Ma'am.
Okay, last comment. So, Paras Bhamre, in the post-match press conference, has spoken about it. First, the decision to leave Ashwin out, which is a difficult one, which, of course, he would say that. But also about how he thinks. Okay, so that's what he said. It was always a very difficult decision to drop a champion bowler like that. But looking at the cool conditions in the morning, I thought having the additional seamer would definitely be beneficial, and it also has worked in the past. It's a different thing that your seamers were not bowling well. Okay, if you look at the earlier games that we played, the last Test match, we went in with 4 seamers, where we did really well. But having said that, this is what he said about Ashwin. But the other thing he said, that we could have bowled shorter to Travis Head once he got going. Could be bowling short into his ribs, into his body. Could have, would have, should have, I know. And you said, hindsight is 20/20. But yeah, they do a lot of plannings. This is what you do. It's a big final. You need to have plan B, C, D. And India just failed in that.
Well, India didn't have a plan B and C and D, because they didn't have the tools to implement those plans.
Yeah.
They just had the one plan, like Jamie said. They picked the bowling lineup, and as Paras Bhamre said, that they look at the conditions in the morning. I mean, what about the morning conditions on day 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially day 6? You pick an 11 for the 5 days of a Test match, not just the first morning of day 1. And if three seamers can't do it on day 1 morning, how will a 4th seamer be beneficial in that? I just don't get this, that you need an extra 4th pacer to make conditions work for you in England on day 1 morning. And no, and you and I have been in enough press conferences of the Indian team that we know that nothing really just comes out of it, and it's just all excuses in the end. Dropping Ashwin was tough. What makes it so easy to drop him and not Jadeja at the end of it? That's a question for me. And you spoke about not bowling short enough to Travis Head. In fact, if you listen to the likes of Ricky Ponting and Wasim Akram and Sunil Gavaskar, they'll tell you that India actually did not bowl full enough. Listen to the likes of Saurav Ganguly and Harbhajan Singh, and they're saying the same thing, that you did not bowl, full enough. You were bowling just short of length. So you want to pull it back even more. Instead, Harbhajan Singh was really post-match session yesterday. He was clearly saying, go bowl fuller. All we saw was Travis Head cutting the ball, cutting the ball, cutting the ball. Did we see Travis Head, made to drive the ball? No, we did not see that enough. So India settled down on a short of length on that particular pitch. They did not make the batsmen play down the ground enough, which is the basic trick. As far as Mamre says, they did not bowl well enough. It is the basic trick in England. You have to make the batsmen play down the ground, make them drive, induce the edge. They did not do that enough. So you just can't say, okay, just the morning conditions didn't go our way. You did not have the tools. You did not execute your plan A, and then you did not have the tools for plan B, C, and D.
Okay, absolutely a valid point there. Thank you so much, Chetan, for taking the time out. I believe you've got to leave, but Jamie stays on with us. So, yes, I think this has been a problem with the Indian team every time it tours abroad, Jamie. The first test match and, the time it takes for India to adapt to the conditions. We've seen that in the past. We saw it yesterday as well. Somehow, by the time they get to the third or the fourth test match is when they figure out what their problems are, how to get the right team combination. Somewhere that was what was also the reason that you've come in a one-off test match. You don't know what to do beyond a point.
Yes and no. The flip side to that is, Meha, that we've seen Indian teams, and I'm not even going back to the time when I've watched the game from a distant perspective. I'm talking about MS Dhoni 2011, 2014, Virat Kohli 2018. Sometimes the longer these, I'm talking about in England specifically, because this is where they're playing, the longer these series have gone off, the team, because they keep losing or they kept losing before 2021, they just the problems seem to come to the fore. Now why we're being extra critical here is because this is a WTC final, and like you rightly compare this to the previous time, the inaugural WTC final, also in England, where they misread the conditions and hence they also picked the wrong team. Here they picked the wrong team and then they misjudged the toss. I just thought before, and it was on this channel that I said, this Indian team did not have the baggage of Australia needing to worry about 5 Ashes test matches in the next 7 weeks. I thought they would just see this as a one-off test to their benefit, use the undercooked, use the overdone, whatever you want to say, use it with a bit of an uncluttered mind, But unfortunately, they have gone exactly what you're asking me. They've gone into it as if there are 3-4 test matches left to be played, which surprises me that this comes from a man of Rahul Dravid's experience. I mean, how many tours? He had 4 tours of England, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 5. Rohit Sharma, this is his 50th test match. He's been given the job. He drops these pearls of wisdom in the pre-match post-conference. But I just feel that they did exactly what you asked me. They have seen this as a 3-4 test match series, which is wrong. You only had to channel your best energy, your best resources for 5 days. But it's almost like this is 2011, this is 2014, this is 2018.
Yeah.
We'll try and solve these problems later. No, you had one shot and you blew it by picking 4 pacers, dropping the number. How does the number 1 bowler in Test cricket not be deemed considered worthy of a place in this 11? I'm willing to take on anyone right now who comes back after yesterday and tells me that no, the conditions didn't favor Ashwin. Then why the heck is Nathan Lyon playing this test match?
No, absolutely. And I'm telling you, this is what Ricky Ponting also said, that this pitch will turn. It will be, this wicket is going to turn and they're going to miss Ravichandran Ashwin even more. But now that this is something that India cannot change, there is no impact player rule here. They've got to be with their playing 11. What? Yes.
They still wouldn't have played Ashwin if the impact rule was there.
Who do you think they would have played?
Probably Suryakumar Yadav. Hey, we need some runs. Come on, help us.
Okay, but so now what can India do? We also have to realize that this is just day one. You know, for all you know, India can get the whole Australian team out today in the first session. And then Shubman Gill in his IPL form, you know, does better than Travis Head and scores runs quickly. We've seen Virendra Sehwag do that for this team at one point. What will India look to do today? How important is it for them? And they've got the new ball. How important is this? Okay, I think these are, Jamie, I'm just going to stop you. I mean, I'm going to come to you in a bit, but these are live visuals from London, from outside the Oval. And the one thing is that, you know, India can play in whichever way they want to. They'll always have the ultimate fan support. So you could see a lot of fans there. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that, yes, go ahead, Jamie.
If India are not prepared to bat or are not padded up by the lunch break, Meha, the game is done. I already feel this game is almost done. If Australia are still batting, by the time it is 5 p.m. Indian time, this game is as good as gone. Yes, the conditions will get even easier to bat for the next day and a half. Every chance that Rohit Sharma maintains his oval record, gets 100. Shubman Gill could get 200 from here, but these ifs and buts do not make up for a test result, right? The conditions are in favor of the batting team. You might get half an hour, 20 minutes of some wobbling seam, but given the fact that you could not produce 4 wickets under those same or even darker conditions yesterday, the forecast right now is for far sunnier skies. Travis Head is touching distance of 150. Steve Smith is on his way to 100. You have Cameron Green. You know, we spent a lot of time talking about Travis Head, Maya. Can you imagine if the scorecard is 400 for 4? The license that what Cameron Green has to do, he'll think it's the Wankhede on a Sunday evening, and we have to chase 212. The guy is going to tee off from the start. And Indian viewers, Indian fans, don't be fooled by what you saw of Alex Carey struggling in the BGT. Alex Carey will score runs here. So this platform is massive. If India do not take the remaining 7 wickets in the first session, Meha, look, I'm not even factoring in a draw here because batting fourth against Nathan Lyon, the rough marks that Stark is going to make, it's going to be very, very, very tough.
Okay, those are visuals of the Indian team reaching the stadium. Just saw Ravichandran Ashwin talking to somebody on the phone, maybe telling one of his friends, I don't know, what do I need to do to play in England? Shubman Gill. All eyes will be on Shubman Gill because if India need to come back into this test match, not only do they need to get wickets, they need the likes of Shubman Gill to score big runs. Umesh Yadav, is he going to be able to bowl better today? It's not going to be an easy day, but the one thing that they look to do is get quick wickets because then it will not be as long a day as yesterday was. Ravindra Jadeja coming out of the bus there. So, like I said, Jamie, the one thing we know about this Indian team is that they have bounced back before and they can do it this time around as well. It's just one day. But it'll take a lot of character, resilience, and much better planning for them to be able to bounce back. Australia have definitely come as a team that is better prepared, at least from what we got to see on day one. They read the conditions better. Probably it was a good toss to lose for them. But in the end, at this point, Australia is sitting pretty after day one. They know they don't have to do much from here on. They just need to keep batting and they will bat India out of the test match. So for Australia, it's an easy thing. But for India, can they bounce back? They've done it before, like I've been saying, but can they do it again? Okay. So,
I mean, look,
yes, Jamie.
absolutely. I'm not saying that they're down for the count, but you know, they're definitely on the mat. Um, just on a lighter note, you mentioned Ashwin on the phone. He's probably asking a friend of his around here, hey, listen, I have a lot of free time. You want to catch up? Or he's probably trying to figure out, you know, am I allowed to do YouTube videos during a match? Because I really have no job here. And let's face it, he puts out some cracking videos between matches. But look, are India down for the count? No, because if they can keep them, excuse me, if they can keep them to 375, 380, you still believe you could do it. But once it gets into that 450 realm, Meha, it just gets very tough psychologically, to pick yourself up. That means if you concede 450, you've got to score. I'm not going to go the traditional route and say you've got to score 450. No, you've got to score 700 to make a match out of it. Can this Indian team get to 700? I just don't see it happening. But in a rare sliver of hope, I remember in 1998 there was a one-off test match, also like this is at the Oval between
Okay,
England and Sri
Jamie,
Lanka.
sorry. Let's just
Yes.
take some reactions and I'll come back.
I think so, because the pitch seems like it's going to be a batting pitch eventually. So maybe if the Indian bowlers can turn the show into the court of India. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so those are visuals from outside the stadium. Both teams have arrived. Of course, these are visuals from a little while earlier. I'm sure they're already in. They're all getting ready for this big day. And it is going to be a big day for India, especially if they want to bounce back. It's not that all is lost. Yes, Australia sit in a much better position after day one, but that doesn't mean it's all over. That is what is wonderful about a 5-day test match, that you can come back. But India will need to bat like they've never batted before to be able to come back here.
Nikhil Jadhav from Chicago, USA. I wouldn't say too excited right now, but based on the day we had yesterday, but definitely optimistic. I would like to give credit to Steve Smith and especially Travis Head, the way they batted yesterday. But at the same time, I do believe that India does have firepower, especially it's a little cloudy today and Duke's ball is still new, only 5 overs old. Shami and Siraj will come with all the firepower and they would, I think they would have a good spell in the morning. All India need right now is 3 quick wickets, including the 2 overnight batsmen and Cameron Green. If they can get that quicker and restrict Australia to 425, 450, I think India is still in the game. Oh, definitely. I mean, Shubman Gill is in the form of his life, and Cheteshwar Pujara has been playing county here. Rohit Sharma has always been in a good form for red ball cricket, and Virat Kohli recently has done well. Last test he scored 100, and IPL he was in a good form. Rahane has been come off from a good batting form in IPL. So all our top 5 are looking decent. If we can get them out early in the second session, we'll get the best of the batting conditions over the rest of the second day and full third day, and we can make a match out of it.
Okay, so that's a fan from Chicago come all the way to watch this World Test Championship final right outside the Oval. Can India see a better day? Will it be a better day for India at the Oval? That's what Indian fans are all waiting for. The good thing is, like he said, that India has the firepower. It has the batting and it will get good conditions to bat in if they can get... If they...
India जीतेगा भाई जीतेगा India जीतेगा India 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 India.
Okay, so fans still optimistic, and that's what we love about Indian fans, Jamie, that India may be down and out. The Indian team may not have done well on day one, but they're there with their placards for their favorite cricketers and cheering this team on. But like that Vox Pop earlier that we heard, where he said that India has the firepower and they will get good conditions. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out, Jamie. Okay, let's just hear another fan. Let's just hear another fan.
So, yeah, I'm very excited because the bowlers, I think, are very fresh. So, I think Shami and Siraj could get early wickets and get India back into the game. So, yeah, we have a good chance to be back into the game and restrict Australia to a very low total, and hopefully our openers put a good score, and then betting on Kohli and Pujara to get 100 and then get a 100 or 150 lead, and then restricting Australia to. So very positive from all the fans, and we'll cheer for India, and we'll back our team.
Did he just say low score for Australia?
My name is Manav.
Manav, how excited you are ahead of day two? India a little bit on the back foot, but how excited again?
Yeah, I mean, India is on a back foot, I agree, but it's an exciting day, new start, new day, fresh. Shami and gonna come fresh. So we're looking forward to hauling them out very cheaply as soon as possible, and then looking forward to a great day ahead from the Indian batting. Cheers, thank you.
My name is Sarakshi, and we're all from Loughborough University, studying in Loughborough University, and all of us are so excited for the match, and it's a new day. We're hoping the Indian batters to perform really well, and we're hoping to see India batting today, as well as we're hoping that the bowlers perform really well and we get a lot of wickets in hand, if not the batting. But I think everybody's got the zeal inside them, and we're willing to see India win, and we're ready to see them lift the cup after such a long time, and after we're all Dhoni fans, but we're definitely missing Dhoni. But I think this is going to be the one, and we're going to get back the trophy home. Yeah.
You'll find Dhoni fans everywhere, all over the cricketing world. Wherever you go, you'll find Dhoni fans, but Indian fans very optimistic yet. Though I do see, Jamie, it being overcast right now. So that first hour is important. If India can get quick wickets, it's not impossible. And like we were hearing from one of the fans, Jamie, where he said that, look, they are going to get the best of conditions, which is true. If India can get Australia out in the first 1.5 sessions, and then bat from there on the second half of today and tomorrow, all day, there's a game there. Jamie?
Yeah. Just looking at these visuals over the past few minutes, it was approximately this same time 4 years ago where I was standing outside these same gates, Alex Stewart gates, doing box pop with these same kind of players, because India opened their World Cup campaign at the Oval against Australia.
Oh yes.
And Shikhar Dhawan got that 100. And I'm like, this could be June of 2019, but this is a test match. But you just see the optimism. These are the kind of fans which were there, and I understand the crowds for India's opening World Cup match, but for day two of a test match in which India are playing catch up, this is just lovely to see. And especially that was it Nikhil Jadhav who boarded that flight from Chicago O'Hare Airport. I'm surprised that he still got some confidence left. But hats off to fans like this, because I'm sure Nikhil Jadhav would have landed at Heathrow from Chicago with a lot more optimism. But these are the fans. These are the reasons what would make this game so so just fun to watch. And and the team, despite the team being given 327 runs with the 3 wickets, they still have fans who are there at this time. But just coming back to your point about about the overcast conditions, it's England. As journalists, we've all stood outside these grounds in Australia and England, doing this kind of same thing with what these reporters are doing.
Yeah.
And England is such a country, Meha. It could snow on day 3, and I would not be surprised. Like I've stood there, I've had to duck for cover because the sun is that bright, and it's such a bizarre place to have cricket being held. I just go back to yesterday. Unless it's Headingley, unless it's Game of Thrones level grey overhead and it's damp, then you start to make your plans. But I just knew, yes, 145 years, first time a test match being played at the Oval. I just knew it's still the Oval, right? It's not Leeds. The sun is going to pop out at any given time. The pitch is going to get baked. So just go back to that decision. It was a wrong decision. Yeah. And I'm not even talking from hindsight. I told you, I messaged you in the second over, 308. That's not hindsight. That's knowing full well. This was the wrong choice and the wrong team picked. So, but yes, let's search for optimism. What I was saying before those visuals popped up was, in 1998, there was a one-off test between Sri Lanka and England. That time Sri Lanka were one-day World Cup champions, but they were not good travelers. And someone who at the age of 17 had a lot of free time to watch cricket, I can vividly remember this match. England scored 445. You thought game gaya. Sri Lanka made 591. Jayasuriya got 200. De Silva got runs. And then Murli took 9 wickets and they won that match. It's not beyond the realm of impossibility. But the only difference is, why I brought this up was, they had Murli who took 17 wickets in that match, and you've left out Ashwin. So, yeah.
Don't say that. Don't say that. That was also Murli in Sri Lanka. Maybe Shami or Siraj.
No,
will
at
get...
the Oval.
Oh,
at
this
the
is at
Oval.
the
This
Oval.
is the
Of course,
Oval.
this is at the Oval. Yeah, maybe they'll.
The Oval.
Maybe Mohammad Shami or Siraj will do. Will get some 6 wickets and 8 wickets. Jadeja. But somebody will have to. Somebody will have to come good today for India. Who will it be? And the thing is, Jamie, this needs to happen right away with the new ball. They need to bowl
Absolutely.
better. They need to bowl fuller. They need to forget about what happened yesterday. Because the moment you start thinking of the position that you're in, you're not going to be able to execute your plans, be it your captain, Rohit Sharma, or your bowlers. So they need to forget what happened yesterday, but also know that the plan is to bowl fuller, get them to drive, get them to induce an edge, and you know, give the catch to somebody in the slips or the keeper. There has to be a game plan for them.
And I think, Meha, I think we can expect them to be much, much better, right? Because you're not going to repeat the same mistakes. I'm sure there was a firm dressing down. I'm sure even Virat Kohli had his say yesterday, you know, because again, this is not a bad team, Meha. You mentioned the loss of Bumrah, rightly so. But these bowlers have performed overseas. India is not that side that I grew up watching where you knew the overseas they're not gonna win a match. They have won matches overseas. They have won in England. So it's just that they seem just not ready for the day. Maybe they were surprised. Maybe they were shocked that David Warner lasted that long at the crease and sucked some momentum out of them. I don't know, but their plans just were not, clearly the plans did not go the way they had put them down on paper or laptop or iPad, whatever they use. But I fully expect them to put in a much better improvement and to cash in on the first half an hour. But you cannot escape the fact that 327 for 3 has almost knocked you out. It's going to take a miracle, Meha. Even I said earlier, and if they get 7 wickets, it cannot be 7 for the addition of another 130, 140 runs. It's got to be quick.
Yeah.
I still think, even, of course, 400 is psychological, but even 380, you know, for this team with their batting problems to draw level with 380 and then pile on 200 more, very tough, Meha, very tough. Though I do believe, I'll stop talking here. I do believe the next 3 days are going to be good for batting.
Okay, with that, we'll wrap this up, out of time. But yes, important first session for India. Can they take quick wickets? They need to get, at any cost, need to get Australia out for under 400 and then hope that their batters can bat the next 2 days. And then maybe there is a chance there. But thank you so much, Jamie, for talking to us, for taking the time out. Hopefully, it's a better day. Hopefully, it's a better day for India. They've got to forget about what happened yesterday. Like I said, they need to look forward. They need to be optimistic. And it's a team that's done before. It's a team that's, come back, bounced back from situations where they were going to lose. They've bounced back to win test matches. That's what this team can do. They've got the firepower. They've got the talent in this side. But they right now need the mental resilience to fight back, and hopefully they'll find it today. That's it from us. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. News 9 Live is what you need to subscribe to before I go, so do that.